unions, petroleum marketers, the Ministry of Finance, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and representatives of the incoming administration. It said the expanded committee will decide if the removal can be done by June as planned. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, disclosed this to State House correspondents shortly after the valedictory NEC meeting presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo at the council chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja.
What I said is that it is not going to be removed now, which means it will not be removed before the transition is completed. That's what it means. But then we have two laws that have inadvertently made the provision that we should exit by June. So if the committee's work, which will include the representatives of the incoming administration, determine that the removal can be done by June, then the work plan will be designed to exit as at June.
The minister also spoke on the implications of the decision.
But if the determination is that the period needs to be extended, it will mean that we will have, as a country, will have to revisit the Appropriation Act, for example, because the 2023 budget only made provision up to June. So if we are extending beyond June, it means we have to revisit the Appropriation Act and do a supplementary or amend the bill, and also the PIA. We that are here now are going to do the work with the representatives of the incoming administration, and we will exit and leave them to continue with the implementation of the plan.
She also explained why there has to be an expanded committee.
There will be an expanded committee so that it is not just a few people's thoughts that will guide the process, that there is sufficient consultation, taking inputs from key stakeholders into the measures that need to be taken.
As you may know, the National Economic Council is made up of the 36 state governors, the CBN governor, and other government officials. It has the mandate to advise the president concerning economic affairs, unlike the Federal Executive Council, which is the cabinet of the president. Reacting to this, the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC said the government should use the window to develop a timeline-based roadmap to restore Nigeria's refining capacity. NLC's General Secretary Ima Ugwaja said it is ironic that the government at last is showing concern for the people. He said it was a decision that should have been taken long ago. On its part, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria, TUC, said it is commendable for the government to decide to now listen to the voice of reason and suspend the planned subsidy removal. TUC Secretary General Nuhu Toro, who spoke for the union, said it has vindicated the TUC because they had told Nigerians that they are not a party to the planned subsidy removal. Also, a senior economist, Paul Alaje, spoke on this.
And we've seen a number of strategies government has put in place. What now makes of how do we now explain the $800 million collected from the international organization to be shared to 10 million households, 50 million Nigerians at an average of $16 per head? What becomes of that? Is it also going to be handed over to the next administration? What are the options we have on the table? Is to go to the National Assembly, obviously, to ask for additional budget, which most likely will come from borrowing.
Also reacting, the Director, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, Dr. Muda Yusuf, said the petroleum subsidy removal should be left to the incoming government to handle. Earlier, some residents of Rivers State described the removal of fuel subsidy as an attempt to impose more hardship on citizens. The former chairman of the Child Protection Network in the state, Michael Gbarale, told correspondent Soebi Ruwari that fuel subsidy removal will increase the poverty rate in the country if measures to tackle its impact are not realistic.
It's going to affect the common man in Rivers State in a very bad manner. Transportation will be skyrocketed. Poor market women will increase their foodstuff. The common students who used to go from their house to schools, most of the universities and colleges, they can no longer afford. Even the petty traders will suffer much. Those who used to go to bush market to bring to carry all this foodstuff to us, prices of things will skyrocketed. And also note that the price of house rent will trickle. So it has a lot of far more devastating effects.
Mr. Barele said until the nation's refineries are fixed, Nigerians are not ready for the removal of subsidy.
The refineries have to work. The issue of removal of subsidy is not something that Nigerians are ready for, or even people in the state and the grassroots is ready for. Before you remove subsidy, you must put in measures, palliative measures that can address this thing you are about to do. But government is always, they just bring one idea and at the end of it, it doesn't work. It has never worked and this one is also not going to work. Whether increase the salary of civil servant or not, they are just about 20% of the citizens. So it's not going to work.
A Port Harcourt-based rights activist, Pius Decker, also spoke on this.
I see the fuel subsidy connival from the World Bank 800 million loan as one of the strategies to stifle the Niger Delta people, to stifle people like us, to stifle and bring poverty to the people. I don't see any reason for people, World Bank, to give us $800 million. And that money is not going to be used to repair our refineries that are ailing. 4 ailing refineries, 4 chlorine refineries. And you want to share that money. And I'm hearing that the percentage of money will be shared by only 50 million Nigerians will benefit from that $800 million. And then from that, you will now, remove fuel subsidy. That is another range of poverty.
Mr. Decker said if the removal of the subsidy is not reversed, there will be a hike in the price of transportation and house rents. Moving on. The River State Police Command says the police and local vigilantes intercepted a notorious kidnapper and armed robber, Wardi, and his group, who engaged them in a gun battle in Elibrada community, MOA local government area, yesterday. The command spokesperson, Grace Ringo Koko, said during the gun battle, 2 members of Wardi's group, Junior Onukube, also known as Pai Pai, and Progress, were killed, and 2 locally made double-barrel guns, 5 live rounds of ammunition, coveralls, and a Toyota Camry car were recovered from the armed robbers. In another development, the chairman of MOA local government area, G.D. Lloyd, says the man declared wanted by the River State government for illegal oil refining, Gift Ajuru, is not the personnel of any security agency that he be contracted for security matters in the area. Dr. Lloyd tells correspondent Emeka Otaka that it was unimaginable for Mr. Ajuru to allege that he was being prosecuted for his refusal to arrest a notorious cultist terrorizing the MOA section of the East-West Road. He said Mr. Ajuru is responsible for the illegal oil refining activities and other criminal activities in Indele community.
I challenge Gift Ajuru to a face-to-face debate where I gave him such assignment. Is it the police? Is neither the police nor the army. So where did I meet him to give him assignment to go and attack somebody? Considering the exigency of the moment then, the community came together and made head us back. Now he has become an outlaw in the community and the Rundele people are condoning him.
Dr. Lloyd also reiterated that his administration will ensure the arrest of Mr. Ajuru.
All I know is that Gift Ajuru, I will stop at nothing to make him answer for the crime. This is a man who goes about killing his people willfully. If he is wrong, let him come out. I need him to come out. It's a matter of time. Gift will answer to all the crimes that he has committed against his people in accordance with laid down laws. So we will not be distracted. No, there is no amount of blackmail. And he's doing this in conjunction with some persons in the community. At the appropriate time, we will name and shame the elders, those who say they are traditional rulers of that community that are working with him. I will name them. I don't lack the guts to name and shame them.
Speaking on the situation in Indele community after the crisis between the army and Mr. Gift Ajuru 10 days ago, Dr. Lloyd said normalcy can only return to the community when Mr. Ajuru has been arrested. He called on the army to ensure the arrest of Mr. Ajuru.
Let no one say that normalcy has returned. Normalcy can only return when that boy, Gift Ajuru, has been brought to book by the military. I challenge the army, and I know the Nigerian army. I know their capability. That a few disgruntled ones among them cannot paint them in bad light. The Nigerian army has the capacity to deal with the external aggression. What happened to Gift Ajuru? Say for me, normalcy has not returned. Normalcy can only return when those criminals have been flushed out. And I will stop at nothing at ensuring that.
On the issue of the burning of the home of a widow, Uche Ajuru, by a member of the disbanded OSPAC, Owichika Egbo, in Indele community, Dr. Chidi Lloyd said he is not aware of the matter. Away from that, some stakeholders and community leaders in Beverly State have been speaking on the seeming slow response of the government to the prediction that this year's rainfall might cause severe flooding in the state. An environmental advocate, B.A. Briggs, is concerned that no state government in the Niger Delta region made any known provision for emergency cases in their budget for 2023 fiscal year.
If you look at the budgets in the Niger Delta that have been so passed, there has never been any provision for flood victims or flooding or any mitigation plan whatsoever. Talk less about rehabilitation. The rehabilitation is the last part of the management of a flooding disaster. You prepare, you respond, and then you rehabilitate. Prevention is zero. Response will also be zero. What we saw, the floods had been almost 3 weeks on before government started attempting to respond by releasing funds in the middle of a disaster. It's not supposed to be so.
Dr. Briggs said to reduce the effect of the flooding, community leaders must educate their people on the need to respect the environment. A professor of development sociology, Sofiri Joab Putuside, also spoke on this.
The time to act is now, to take proactive and preventive measures to protect our people in anticipation of the doom that is predicted from the expert agency. On the recent flood predictions, we call on the government to engage environmental experts to open up our canals while also providing other local drainage outlets to allow free flow of water. It's also necessary to urgently identify and construct special befitting relocation centers, if need be, in the local government areas in anticipation of the 2023 predicted to happen between April and November this year.
I think that the rain has started and the people of Orashi, they've been suffering because of the flood. Our people are suffering, not just suffering, we die. So many of our people die. So the government will start from now. As far as the sun is from May 29th, start preparing for the flood to come. We don't need they should start preparing a permanent place. As the rain comes, because it's a natural disaster, we can run to that highland and stay.
Some community leaders in the Arashi region of Rivers State further shared their thoughts on this.
Unless those of us who come from the Atlantic Ocean area who knows the consequences. Now, even though we have our own indigenous method, but some of those floods, just disorganizes those. So, but I also think that people don't wait. We shouldn't wait. That's why I told him we need to create awareness of people to know that this can happen. Because if something happened last year, you know what time. So you begin to plan in advance to, curtail it. But I must confess to you that I'm sure we are still not ready. Most communities.
Elsewhere, President Buhari is expected in Rivers State today to flag off the construction of Center of Excellence and a 100-bed specialist hospital, among other projects of IPREP in Ogoni land. Yesterday, the president of Ogoni Liberation Initiative, Douglas Fabeke, alleged that one of the projects, the Center of Excellence, has been flagged off before now. Mr. Fabeke said this on Niger Info FM's Morning Crossfire. He said the failure of the government to monitor and assess its project in Ogoni has given rise to corruption in the system.
The Center of Excellence have been inaugurated before. The former environmental minister, there was a time I went there and I took a photograph of water place at the bush and the signpost, and I attached it with a letter and I wrote it to the honorable minister, put it in our report. It's even a forensic report. It had been inaugurated before, and I thought that money had been awarded. If you look at the list of projects, the list that I was calling here up to 7 in category, some of these projects, money have been awarded to them twice. In project management, there's something we call evaluation. There's something we call assessment. If you awarded a contract, you approve money for a project, can you set up a committee to go and verify if that project was done accordingly?
Still ahead, Nigerians to face movement restriction as census begins next week. Stay tuned as we go for a quick commercial break.
You are
Nigeria's Governors Forum says it will meet President Muhammadu Buhari over the new revenue sharing formula put together by the Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission. Recall that the forum called on the president to send a draft legislation on the new formula to the National Assembly before the end of his administration on May 29. Today is World Day for Safety and Health at Work. It is celebrated annually on the 28th of April to promote the prevention of occupational accidents and diseases globally. This year's theme is a safe and healthy work environment as a fundamental principle and right at work. Nigerians will next week have a 3-day movement restriction nationwide as the National Housing and Population Census begins. The chairman, National Population Commission, Nasser Isa Kwara, made this known yesterday when he met the diplomatic corps in Abuja. He said the exercise, which will begin on Wednesday, May 3, 2023, will run till Sunday, May 7, 2023. Some Nigerian students have cried out that they are stranded in Sudan. This comes after a viral video of a young woman and others lamenting that the buses conveying them stopped because the federal government did not disburse funds. The students also claimed that they stopped in the desert for 5 hours, but the chairperson of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri-Arewa, says the issue has been resolved. Mrs. Dabiri-Arewa also disclosed Air Peace left for Egypt last night and is expected to return to the country today.
And now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Rival factions of Sudan's military have agreed to renew a 3-day ceasefire shortly before it was due to expire, but there are continuing reports of heavy fighting in the capital, Khartoum. On the news this morning, you heard the organized labor is backing the next suspension of planned removal of fuel subsidy. Police have clarified on a gun battle which left 2 people dead in Emoa, Rivers State yesterday. President Buhari is expected in Rivers State today. Nigerians to face movement restriction nationwide as census begins next week. Today is World Day for Safety and Health at Work. Nigerians fleeing conflict in Sudan are expected to arrive today. On the foreign scene, rival factions of Sudan's military have agreed to renew the ceasefire. The news was edited by Choma Ezewafo. Cloudy weather in Bataka this morning. Remember, peace is the path to the prosperity and development of any nation. Let peace reign. I am Kala Dakurubatubo. Good morning. Morning Crossfire with Ifeami Andrew continues after the break. Stay tuned.